transportations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned, community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for showers and storms overnight with a low around 67. Saturday, more thunderstorms with a high near 82. And Sunday, sunny with a high around 81. Enjoy curated local beers and cocktails inspired by Minnesota flavors at Farmer's Kitchen and Bar. Sourcing ingredients directly from local farmers, they deliver an unforgettable downtown Minneapolis dining experience. Located conveniently next to the Guthrie Theater, they're open Wednesdays through Sundays. More at farmerskitchenandbar.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken.
Casual Friday. Casual Friday. Casual Friday on Ghostbox Radio.
And it is Casual Friday here on Ghostbox Radio. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we ease into the weekend, which is always fun. Welcome to the weekend. My name is Greg Bakken. We're going to give you a paranormal start to your weekend. I hope that you are ready for it. We do not have Adam with us tonight, so you know what that means. It means that it's an episode of Just Greg. It's just me tonight. Hope that's okay. As we're gonna be talking about some stuff that I think is really interesting and important, and I think we actually probably have experienced it, even if we don't think we have. So I'm going to start off to give people a chance to put into the comments if you want to answer the question of the week. The question of the week this week is: has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they're about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? Has that ever happened to you? I have a number of people who have responded tonight to that. If you want to respond, we can't take phone calls tonight, but you can put it into the comments. And if you're wondering, well, where are these mythical comments you're always talking about? You can go to Facebook. You can go to Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken or AM 950 Radio, or you can jump over to YouTube, Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, or AM 950 Radio. Those comments will get to me, and we'll do our best to get that stuff on the air for you. But I find it very interesting. Has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they are about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? And So we're going to get to the question of the week in the second segment. In this segment, I do want to talk about my experience with that, and I've shared it before, but it's been a while, and I want to because it's so interesting, and it's still all this time later, it boggles my mind. But I've always been grateful for it. I hope everyone has good stuff planned for the weekend. But I do want to point out tomorrow I am going to be at the Charvinity Maria Shaw Psychic Fair this year. This time around, it is called the Great Minnesota Mystical Get Together, and as always, it is going to be a great event that you're going to see all these wonderful practitioners. There are going to be breakout sessions. There's going to be games. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be over at the. What is that? Is that the DoubleTree? I always forget what it's called, but the address over by the airport is 2020 American Boulevard East, Minneapolis. It's literally right by the airport, and it is going to be a great time. It opens at 9 tomorrow, goes to 5, and then of course it's going to be around Sunday as well. So yeah, this is going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. I have my car packed because I have to get out there early. Oh, my goodness, that's not really what I like, but that's the least favorite part of doing this, is having to go out there, like having to get up early. I normally don't rise out of my coffin till about maybe 10:30, something like that, especially on a weekend. But it's gonna be fun, and over time I have found that these practitioners that are at these events, I have become friends with. I'm excited. There's new practitioners that are going to be out there tomorrow, and I believe, let me just check here real fast. I believe it's $5 a person to get in, and then of course you're paying for your practitioner that you're going to work with. But it's well worth it. It's a lot of fun, and that is tomorrow and Sunday as well. So get on out there, say hello. I'm going to have a table out there. I'm going to be helping out at the event the best I can, and it's going to be it's always wonderful, and it's just good energy. It's just good energy. So you definitely should consider doing that. I would love to see some of you out there. Andra's like, I know, me too. I don't like being up super early, and unfortunately for me these days, super early is like 9 a.m. I mean, it's just like, is the sun out at this time? It's just ridiculous. And I don't know. I just, it's gotten worse. I've never been one to get up early. And I've strategically found jobs that allowed me not to have to get up at like 5 in the morning or something. You people who get up at like 5 to do a workout, I don't understand that at all. I don't want to understand. It's like inhuman, if you ask me. But that's okay. That's fine. But yeah, that's going on. I gotta say, it's been a great week. Okay, it's been a really good week. A lot of great things are happening, and I got myself a new camera, which I'm really excited about because as I've mentioned, I'm going to be doing another show called Minnesota Bites, and I decided to kind of get one of those type of cameras that the food vloggers are using. It's the Osmo 3, and it's I've been waiting for it, and I was watching the FedEx. Like I'm just feverishly just watching. Like, come on, get here, because I don't know about the rest of you. For me, that's kind of the anxiety of a super expensive camera that is not in this house yet, and anything could happen to it. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it's supposed to be here by 2:40 today, and it wasn't. And then it's like, okay. And there's this thing on FedEx that you can go and you can see the map of where you are and where the truck is, so you can kind of see the route they're going. And I thought, okay, this is cool. And of course, for me, nothing ever works. Okay, let's just go with that. Okay, let's just start with that. Nothing ever works. You click on something, it's a dead link. If I'm using a touch screen, it doesn't work. I mean, that's just I've lived with that my entire life. Not the touch screen, of course, but you get the message there. And so I'm like, it's asking me to sign in, which I used to have an account, and so I'm signing in, and it doesn't like it. But then it's like, we'll send you a code, text it to you. Okay, text it to me. I put the text code in, and it takes you back to a different page to send a code to text so you can get back in. And you're just like, it's like, it's not a lot of time, but it's just, fiddling around with stuff that is already making me angry, right? And so after 5-8 minutes of that garbage, I finally get in, and I see this map, and I see this little thing of my house, and then right on top of it is a little thing of the FedEx van, and the doorbell rings right at that moment. It's like I could have done so much more with my time than trying to figure it out, because it took so long to get into it, and by the time I got there, he's like at my door. So I don't know, maybe you all have better luck with FedEx than I do. Not even that, technology. Let's just say technology, because I didn't have any luck with that today. By the way, this camera is so awesome, and I'm planning on going out to the state fair with it. Probably will break it, of course, but I'm going out there because I want to try food for Minnesota Bites, and I want to just really just take the time to go out there. And when I say take the time, I mean stand in line for like the stuff that is going to be like everyone's talking about, the new stuff. So that way I can experience the stuff. And obviously when that episode of Minnesota Bites comes out, it's going to be after the fair, but that's okay. Well, you can kind of be longing for what's going on there. So I was I'm excited to try this. This is good. This is a nice camera, and I can use it for all my, online stuff. That is, I'm like the person who is like, I don't know, the like the little bear that could, I'm trying, right? I'm not nowhere near as efficient as anybody that you're watching online, but I'm like, I'm getting there. I'm not too bad. I'm a solid, honorable mention in this stuff. So I was like, yeah, this is all right. But here's the thing about it, folks, and not to get off my Ghostbox to get on my soapbox, but the thing is that this is why passion is so important, because I just keep learning, I keep enjoying. I think about it all the time. I want to create content all the time for all the different things I'm doing. And that's what passion is all about, for the stuff that you're doing. And I really want to urge people, if they don't think in those terms, it doesn't have to be about making videos. It could be whatever it is, to really just take your time and enjoy it. Really find the passion. And if you're finding that you're not enjoying it, then don't, whatever. But I found that really good. Another thing I'm very passionate about is steak, quite frankly. And I was able, for the first time, I think in months, that I made a steak that I thought, okay, this actually is a steak. And I'm pretty good at grilling, but I've been in a slump the last couple months with my grilling. Last week I did chicken wings, and they were horrible. I know how to do chicken wings, and it was very disappointing. I didn't even finish them. Normally I'll make a bunch and I'll have them over the course of 3 days or something like that. It's like one night I'm just like, this is garbage. So I made a really good steak, and I posted pictures. Go over to Minnesota Bites on Facebook, MN Bites, and see some of the food that I post. Pretty soon we'll be posting pictures of the restaurants that I've taken to that we are going to have on the show, which some great food coming up on that as well. Once again, let's get to some paranormal, right? Because that's what you're all tuning in for. That's what I want to talk about here. Get us into a paranormal weekend here. Once again, the question of the week: has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they are about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? Okay, I want to share a story here, and I don't know if it quite falls into this. I mean, later on, I'm going to be reading some stories of people who their loved ones who's about to pass, they're seeing their loved ones. And I know that when my mom was passing away, she hadn't been to hospice yet. It was the second day after she had decided that she wasn't going to do a certain procedure, a certain operation that was going to significantly affect the quality of her life. She's like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I rather pass away. And so that was her choice, and it's one I fully support. And the thing is that when we were in there, there was a Monday, no, it was a Tuesday, because it was a Labor Day weekend that my sister had told me a Sunday night that what she was going to do. And if I got it right, I might be a week off, but I thought it was like Labor Day and whatever the next day is, or maybe the week after. I went out to the hospital to see my mom, and she was just fine, and we had a great conversation. And if you go back and listen to my episode with Kristen talking about death, that's the next day I come back, and it was a very, both those days were very difficult days for me to communicate properly with her. And but my sister was with me the second day, and my mom would be like, just like, she was so out of it, but she'd be like, I see my mom, I see my dad. And to be very honest, I kind of took that as, it's the meds or lack of meds or whatever else. But I think that's not true. And I think I sold her short on that. So as time went on, she was moved to hospice. And she, for all intents and purposes, she basically became, unresponsive, but she was still alive. And it was a very horrible situation because it lingered. Clearly she's so strong-willed that she wasn't passing. She should have passed away, and she wasn't. We're trying, all sorts of sort of metaphysical ways of trying to, do like just prayers and whatever that she could transition, and that wasn't working and stuff. And I don't know, it was over a week. And this place was in New Brighton, Minnesota, because my family, we grew up in St. Anthony Village, so my mom was still there. And I remember it was September, and we leave for the night, and she still hasn't passed. This is the last thing she would ever want, is to linger basically as a vegetable. And so I get in my truck, and I'm angry at this point. And my dad had passed in 2015. This is 2019, so 4 years. And I said, I'm driving back, and the whole drive back to St. Michael from New Brighton, I'm just like, what are you doing, Dad? When are you going to step in? When are you going to help her pass? She never would want to be seen this way. She's lingering. She's suffering. You need to do something about this. You have to do something about this. This is horrible. You know that she would hate this. And I'm talking about a half an hour at least of me being like this, which I tell you, if my dad was here in person with me, you'd never do that. I would never do that. I'd be wearing my face on the other side of my head. You know what I mean? And but I was like, I'm just so frustrated and so annoyed. And I get home, and I might have shared with you all, I'm a paranormal investigator, right? And so I wonder if I could get any kind of response from that just last half hour. So I take out a piece of equipment called the Ovilus, and the Ovilus is where words show up on the screen, and that you are the belief is that spirit is telling you and answering questions, and with the words, and sometimes it's spot on. Other times it's just like, what is this? I wouldn't say it's 100% accuracy to it, but I turned it on, and immediately 2 words appear. And that is, and I have it up on screen here for those who can see, it is heard and release. HEARD, and release. Basically, I heard you, and we're going to release her. And I just want to let you know, if you can see the picture on the page here, if you're watching the online stream, those two words, I had the Ovilus going for 45 minutes. These two words came up immediately, and no other words came up for the next 45 minutes. So I'm just like, okay, that must mean that Mom is going to pass tonight. And then I get a call at 1:15 in the morning from my sister saying that my mom did indeed pass. And that was quite, it was, you know what it's like. So many of you have been through this, right? It's horrible because now she's gone, but it's wonderful because now she's out of pain. And those are things that, that's all it is. And, we talked about this when we had Debbie Romero on, and we had, I think it was Erica that called in. And I said it then. I said, the interesting thing is that, when people want to know about their loved ones, it's very rarely like, oh, are they going to come visit me? Are they going to do this? They want to know, did they suffer? Did they suffer? And I think that's so beautiful. And so that's, that's one of my moments I'll never forget that really helped me and made me just feel good that I can communicate, just as all of you, with spirit when it comes to stuff like that. And since then, I actually apologized to my father. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to talk to you that way, but you can understand I was so frustrated. And, that's just kind of how it is. Now, I want to just remind people as we head off to break here, question of the week, once again, is, has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they're about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? I'd be very interested. We have a lot of responses that were given out earlier today. People answered, and I think that I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation tonight. So please, folks, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to hear what our listeners thought of this question tonight, as well as other things. And when people fill up the chats, please do so. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned, community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstonempls.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect. Greg Bakken here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakken here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Looking for something different for family fun? A night out with friends or your next team-building event? Try the escape rooms at Lilliput. Step into the haunted mansion, race to find a cure in the bunker, or survive Night of the Wolf, all with just 60 minutes to escape. It's private, immersive, and perfect for groups of all kinds. Book your adventure now, spots fill fast. Visit lilliput.net and see if your team has what it takes to escape.
Casual Friday. Casual Friday. Casual Friday on Ghostbox Radio.
And it is Casual Friday here in Ghostbox Radio. Thank you very much for joining us as we ease into the weekend, as we set the weekend to go for paranormal, as we have a lot of interesting stuff coming up with us tonight. We do not have Adam here with us tonight, so you know what that means. That means it's
Just great.
Yeah, I'm not tired of that yet. Okay, so question of the week. You get after my FedEx experience, I need everything that I get to make myself happy here. Question of the week: has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know that they're about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? And so let's go to, we had some folks put in the comments here tonight. Linda says, let's see here. I have a story about the week before my Carl passed away. In that interim, before the crossover, he visited me 4 nights in a row. I could feel his side of the bed sink, and I could feel his vibration every time. The next time I visited him in hospice, I could tell that he was going to last 2 more days. His nurses and doctors were shocked when I told them of this, and it came to pass. So, absolutely. I thank you for sharing that with us. Joanne just says, working on palliative care was my favorite place of calmness. Also, we have medical assistance to end lives of PT. Okay, thank you for that. We go over to answers that we got earlier. Once again, the question being, has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they are about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? Lauren says, my grandmother, her brother in the Army appeared to her to say goodbye. That day she got the call, he was killed in service. Joe says, no, but I've experienced their near-death experiences with them. Okay. It's funny. So Joe says no, but he gives an explanation, and that's great. On another page that I posted this question at, and I have that big, long question. I'm not going to read it again right now. And someone's response was, yes. Okay. Well, I was kind of looking for a little bit more. I'm just going to be honest. I was just looking for a little bit more than that. So let's see here. We have Russ. Russ says, I just happened to be up at the church praying when my great uncle died. I heard someone walk up behind me and then put their hand on my shoulder. I didn't know at the time that he had died. I found out the next morning when he had died at the same approximate time that the spirit had walked up behind me and touched me. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's the sort of thing that, those are gifts, right? Let's see here. Damien says, 2 weeks after my father passed, I was demonstrating ITC to my tour guests. Now, for those who do not know, ITC, intratransmental communication. You could say my story in the first segment with the Ovilus. That's ITC, when you're getting spirit responses from an electronic device. Let's see. So once again, Damien says 2 weeks after my father passed, I was demonstrating ITC to my tour guests. I asked the question, are there any spirits here that have not been here before? A clear Frank, and his voice comes over the speaker. And of course, Frank is his name. All right. There you go. Aaron says, happened to my grandmother all the time. You know, there's always that grandmother, isn't there, in the family that's just like she could see past. You know, she could see far, if you get my drift. Anyway, Aaron says, happened to my grandmother all the time. I was there for one of these. My grandfather was in hospital and she was at home. He came to her in a dream to tell her it was time for him to go. I was visiting and she told me all the details. The next day he died. Isn't that something? You know what I mean? I mean, that is absolutely incredible that you get those dreams. And you know, I know that there's going to be people who are skeptics out there who might be like, well, he's on her mind. So, you know, he's creating those. I just don't think so. And I'm going to go a step further. And I always say this. What's the harm in believing? What's the harm in believing that her grandfather could talk to her grandmother to give him, you know, so he can give her the information that he is going to go. He's saying goodbye. It's beautiful. So why would anyone be like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's not true. That can't happen. It just seems like, to me, it's a much more, just a better way to just be like, wow, look at that. I hope I get that sort of experience sometime. Judy says, and I've read this one earlier. Judy says, my cousin, my mom's twin sister's son, biologically my half brother. That alone, there's a lot to unpack there. Sorry, that's a lot. But let's read this again. My cousin, my mom's twister sister. My cousin, my mom's twin sister's son, biologically my half brother. He was shot in Vietnam. The night my aunt was told, we went straight to her house a few hours south of us. I was a very young girl. My aunt was wailing so loud. Oh, that's so sad. My aunt was wailing so loud that nobody could possibly sleep. But given my age, they put me in Jimmy's room. The cousin that passed that night, he walked right in the door like a living human. He was not see-through, but I remember a slight glow. He said, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to tell my mom I'm okay and that I love her. I'll save you the little girl me responses, but he said he loved me and walked back out. I was so excited Jimmy was home. The next morning, I ran into the kitchen saying, Where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? My mom instantly hushed me. Oh, I could only imagine. I tried to tell her what happened the night before, but she told me it was a dream and not to speak of it. I knew I was awake because my aunt's pain was very loud, of course. I finally told his younger brother about it a couple of years ago, and he totally believed it. But he agreed with my mom. His mom wouldn't have been able to handle that news. That's incredible. I mean, that's incredible. That's really such a just, I mean, and thank you, Judy. Thank you so much for sharing. That's such an intimate story. It's incredible. And you know, it's like, those are things that I agree that's not a dream. Amber says, and once again, just read it. Question of the week. Has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they are about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later. Amber says, my mom has had this happen. The night my great-grandma passed away, my mom said she woke up in kind of a startle and very alert. She said she was letting her eyes adjust and started to go to get out of bed to get some water, and she looked at the end of the bed, and my great-grandma was standing there. She didn't say anything. She just stood and was looking at my mom, and then she just kind of disappeared. Hours later, my mom got the call. She had passed. Oh, isn't that something? Wow. It's tough, isn't it? Rachel says that my great-grandmother came to me in a dream and showed me a vision of my grandmother, her daughter, whom I lived with at the time. She was doing dishes in the kitchen, looking out the window, when a train came barreling through and took half the house out and her with it. Oh my goodness. I ran in the dream to the furthest away room of the house and looked out the back window. Months to a year later, she was killed in a car train accident. Ooh, that gives me chills, Rachel. So once again, months to a year later, she was killed in a car train accident. And after being notified, I ran to the same room and looked out the window, just like deja vu. Holy cow. That's something. Wow. And once again, thank you all, because these are very intimate experiences that no one has to share. But the fact that you all are sharing this with us tonight, really, thank you so much. And Linda, regarding Judy's story about her cousin who was shot in Vietnam, Linda says, thanks, Judy. It's wonderful that she could see him in what looked like full living color. Beautiful. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And that's the thing. And, to Judy's point, her aunt was never going to be like, you can't console that. It's totally understandable. For those of us who are perhaps a little bit more detached, right? It's a little bit, it makes it a little bit more easier. But it's just absolutely incredible. These are some of the best stories I think we've ever read on the show. These are just so incredible, so beautiful. And I really appreciate that everybody wants to kind of share some of that with us. Feel free to, if you're coming to us late and you want to put your story in, feel free to put so in the comments. Once again, the question of the week is, has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they are about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? Now, what we'll do is I'm going to take a break over here, and basically when I come back, I found some stories online that are very much in tune with this, and I'd like to read them because I think they're inspirational, just like the stories I read tonight. Plus, if you have your own, please add them to the comments. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Greg Bakken here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis Trolley Tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned, community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect. It's that time of year where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lily Putt is open for the season, and you know what that means. Lily Putt is known for its mini golf, go-karts, glow golf, jump pads, kitty carts, gem mining, and even a new arcade. Lily Putt also has interactive and engaging escape rooms like the Haunted Mansion, the Bunker, or Night of the Wolf. Lily Putt is perfect for parties and group events. Stop by lilyputt.net for more information and hours of operation. Greg Bakken here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursions to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com.
Casual Friday. Casual Friday. Casual Friday on Ghostbox Radio.
And it is Casual Friday here in Ghostbox Radio. Though I suppose it's kind of like, hey, is it casual? We've been talking about some fairly heavy stuff tonight. It's kind of everything, anything goes. But I really like talking about subjects like we're having tonight with loved ones coming back and talking to us. And of course, because I can one last time, I just want to remind people, no Adam tonight. So you know what that means. That means it's just great. Thank goodness I don't have to pay for every time I use that. So join me Monday on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. We're going to have on prolific author Richard Estep. And normally we have him on when he wants to talk about a new book in the paranormal that he's written. But I asked him if he would consider coming on to talk about a different book that he had written just recently called Help is on the Way. Those who may not know, Richard Estep is a paramedic. And I really wanted to kind of highlight the work that not just that Richard's doing, but all paramedics are doing, all EMTs are doing, and kind of understand a little bit, if possible, a deeper understanding of what they do to be able to, do their best to help us, to keep us alive. And at what risk to themselves occasionally. And I was very interested in that. So we're going to be talking with Richard Estep about that on Monday. So once again, if anybody wants to join in with Question of the Week, feel free to put it into the comments. Has a loved one ever appeared in spirit to you to let you know they are about to pass away or have passed away, only for you to find out it was true a short time later? Where I'm going now is I want to read some of these stories that I found online. The readers share stories of their loved ones' deathbed visions. And I found this over at a site called hospicebuffalo.com. And I want to read some of these because I think these are really good. And it's always good to kind of get, outside of the paranormal show. You know what I mean? That you're finding out that, this affects everybody. So Mark Ferguson's grandfather, Bartlett Mitchell, says that as my grandfather lay in bed close to the end of his long life, he had a vision and pointed to the far wall. "What are you seeing?" my grandmother asked. "A transcendent view of a queen," he replied. "Which queen?" "The queen of all the world," he answered reverently. "Is it your mother?" He nodded and smiled, falling back to sleep. This one I really I find very interesting. This is about George B. Thurston, and towards the end of and this is from Mary, his daughter. "Towards the end of my father's long life, he kept telling me he was seeing a little dog sitting in a chair next to his bed. He described the dog in detail and would point his finger at it with serious certainty. After he died, going through a very old and dusty box of things, I found a sketch he had done as a child of his little pet dog sitting in a chair. I put it on the cover of his card for his memorial service." The one, this is, I just always think to myself personally, and I'm sure I'm reading these and some of you are thinking about like stuff that, might happen to you at some stage. I fully expect that I'm just going to be like pointing to something. I'll just be saying Linus over and over again, or Dave, or AJ, or maybe all of them. Who knows? Let's see here. Georgia Metz, retired hospice nurse, says, "I'm a retired hospice nurse, having worked in the field since the 1980s. I can recall many stories like those commented on here. My favorite was a male patient in the 60s who had been a smoker most of his life and was dying of lung cancer. One day I walked into his room, and to my surprise, he was making lunging motions up in the bed. I asked him, what was he doing? He said he was climbing the stairs to heaven. I helped him lean forward as carefully as I could to help him safely make the motions. About an hour later, he died." And what she says here, I think, is very important. We can support the dying best by believing them. I think that's really interesting, and I think that's very important. That's pretty cool. Karen Stein's mother, Martha. "My mom passed away in 2023 after gradually declining from Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, for a couple of years. A month or two before she passed away, she started talking about how she needed to get the suitcase down from her closet because she had a train to catch. And just a couple days before she died, when she had been barely conscious for maybe a week, all of a sudden she opened her eyes, looked at a fixed point in front of her and said, 'Hi, Dad,' clear as day, in a calm, confident, hopeful voice. Then she closed her eyes and went back to sleep, as if nothing had happened. Her father passed away about 20 years earlier and clearly came to guide her as he had done in life. I feel so grateful to have been present with her to see that sacred moment." Going on to Jane and talking about her father, Larry. "At the end of his life, my dad was blind. Arthritis fused his cervical spine, forcing his head downward. He lost the ability to walk. His kidneys and heart fought each other. He became unresponsive. A week before he died, I paused in the doorway before entering his room to find him engaged in a lively monologue. I touched his arm. He announced, 'Everyone, I'd like you to meet my daughter.' I straightened and waved to the empty room. He spoke and looked around with ease. He sat relaxed, crossing and uncrossing his legs, convening with his children and long-gone coworkers. As he spoke, he made grand gestures. I audibly gasped when he lifted his spindly arm over his head and looked towards the sky while making a point. His movements resembled a man decades younger than 91. After a while, he grew tired and fell back asleep. I will never forget the mind can overpower the body with such ease. I also want to point out here too, before we get too far down the road here, that about I don't know, about 4 years ago now, I did an episode back when I was just doing the weekends where we interviewed a woman who worked in the hospice care, and she had tons of stories like this that she shared them with us. She was anonymous because she didn't want to lose her job or anything. I don't think she was necessarily breaking any laws, but she just wanted to be clear, and I respect that. And I think that's from July of 2022. If you want to go look that up, it's an incredible episode. Going back to here, Keith Walters says, throughout the 90s, I volunteered at a 5-bed residential AIDS hospice that accepted all who needed care. I spent time with many people, most young, many older, living with the knowledge that they would die soon. All of the staff and volunteers had stories of residents announcing that they needed to pack for a train. Oh, interesting. Needed to pack for a train or a bus that was coming, or that they had been visited by people we could not see, but had been an important part of their lives. With rare exception, these were the narratives characterized by a sense of peace and acceptance. We learned to read them as signals that death was near, and it always was. Like Sarah Teasdale contemplating the stars, I know that I'm honored to bear witness to their stories. Isn't that interesting? I want to kind of see if I can switch over to another site here. I'm over on griefandmourning.com. That's, of course, MOURNING. So I was very blessed to experience a beautiful shared death experience with my younger brother in July of 2021. Just 8 days prior, he made the decision to pass peacefully in a hospice facility. His body had completely wrecked by his progressive autoimmune disease and pathogen found in his lungs after a bout of COVID. His physical body was in failure, and he was working with a body that could no longer fight. For 9 days, my mother, Tony, and I sat with him. My mother's worst fears was that he would die alone. My fear was that she would be alone to watch him pass. As other family members, let me find it again. It just went away. As other family members came in and out, we left the room for brief periods of rest and pray. As luck would have it, it was a beautiful hospice facility, and there was walking path, lined trees, and benches. Gosh, it sounds like Kristen's place. The benches outside the room became like old friends. I was relaxing and reflecting on how my little brother went from very verbal to completely non-responsive. I heard the most beautiful, soothing music my human ears have ever heard. I struggled to find the vocabulary to explain this angelic sound I heard outside Joseph's room. The music started off faint and rose up, but as if a choir in a marching band, it got louder and louder. It was obvious that the beautiful choral of voices and soft instruments was coming closer and closer. This was the first of 3 experiences I believe to be a shared death experience. The second occurrence happened that same night when my mother and I were sitting bedside. For 2 days, we watched Joseph experience what the hospice team identified as the death stare. However, his most dedicated, very lovely nurse explained he is just looking at the angels. What happened next solidified this point to me. As we sat quietly, an extremely bright, warm, and pure light projected across his room. My mother and I were speechless. When we were able to converse, we both confirmed the pure light. Once again, human language would not be sufficient to describe the beauty and love that filled his room. And then the third occurrence. On day 9, my last shared death experience occurred. It was the night when my little brother left this earth. After his death, I went back to the bench outside. I was needing to be alone for a moment. I sat in peace, knowing he was experiencing true beauty. Suddenly, I was surrounded by dragonflies. They were everywhere in the dark night. If the other 2 signs did not confirm his soul was at peace, this last shared experience was unmistakable. The beauty I witnessed through the sounds of the music, the peacefulness and the bright light, and the glory of the dragonflies constantly fill my heart. I have zero doubts about the magnificence of an afterlife now. I won't say my grief was lightened, but I will say my perspective was drastically changed. Death is not something I fear after sharing the beauty of these moments. I can only dream of the experiences now and know that they are not of this world. They were supernatural statements of a world much more splendid and amazing than this one. That is just beautiful. Jill. Jill in the comments. I'm in tears and so moved by all the stories shared to us. Thank you, Greg. Such good reminders of the beautiful spirit world, universe we're all a part of. Jill. Thank you, Jill. We do need this once in a while, don't we? We need to be able to get those reminders. And, this was one thing that I wanted to do with Ghostbox from the time I started. There are people who think that when we're doing this, we're only talking about stuff that makes you go boo and stuff like that when we're talking paranormal. But stuff like this, stuff like having Jennifer Lee and Debbie Romero on, Refined Divine on, all of these are just absolutely incredible reminders that it's not about boo, but in fact, it's about really living. Everybody, I hope you have a great weekend. Reminder, I'll be over at the Charvinity Fair tomorrow. Please go over to her page, Great Minnesota Mystical Get Together, to get more information. I'll be out there tomorrow. Monday, we'll have Richard Estep with us. Everyone, what a great program. I will be back on Monday. Have a great weekend and take care.